Oh, for the love of all that is Cheetos, Fry. Could you stay in for it? I am late and questioning my sanity, but it is the Mondayest Tuesday ever. Yes, Sal, super straight, though don't come at me allegedly, we don't know. But yes, today has been an exercise in surrendering to the mundaneness of Monday, Tuesday. Now, what do you think? I know you're asking, Mo, what are you babbling about? Thank you, Eris, for being a mod. Good morning, Little Peanut, Sal, JKD Buck, Flux. Good morning. So last night, as I was eating gummy bears, which I shouldn't be doing any hoozle, one of my caps came off. So knowing that my dentist probably will not get me in until after the holiday season, I went to find that, cap glue that you can put on temporarily. Do you want to know what is out of stock at both Walmart, Kroger, and then I finally had to go to Walgreens? Is a stupid cap glue. For the love of all that is holy. I was like, I just need to get home so I can put up stuff about Steven Seagal, which either way is not very important. But still, doggone it, Steven Seagal is in the news and, must happen. But it is all okay. I got some and then I can order from Amazon and they can deliver next day. Unfortunately, making all of the stuff work. I will not start yet, Bobby. Being late and beside myself. Oh, for the love of Cheetos, what is my internet doing? I cannot with my internet today. What is going on here? Yes. Oh, JKD Buck, it is the massiveliest Monday. Ugh. And they always have just use epoxy. I'll think about it. Look, Bobby, I know this is why Amazon takes over, but I did go to 3 of my local stores and they only had one tube that was, I swear, empty when I bought it. So, Hiya from Florida. Oh, wonderful. Well, enjoy some of those good vibes. It is 19 degrees out here. Fry is making sure that no one enters the backyard for our safety, I am sure, and making sure that, it happens that we are going to share our newsy news for today. Yes, we do have newsy news. Welcome, Sherry Reed, and thank you for joining us live. Yeah, the worst thing about the dealership is they still have on daytime television, and you're dropped into freaking Days of Our Lives, and you've never watched the dang thing, and you don't know who's supposed to have amnesia and who's supposed to be, so and so's father. I mean, you really need a recap like earlier on Days of Our Lives. This happened. That, and you realize Drew Carey has lost a heck ton of weight, and you're like, what happened? Now, in our more important news, though, beyond my, cap falling off because I was eating gummy bears when I wasn't supposed to, which, F around and find out, caps on my teeth say, we do have Steven Seagal news, which means it's going to be a magical new year. Action star Steven Seagal plays tug of war with a liger and shakes an otter's paw behind glass in wild photos on deadly ground. Now, I do have a question for those of you who have maybe paid more attention to Steven Seagal of late. Is he trying out for a character in Kill Bill? Is he making another series of kung fu movies that will be wildly inappropriate and possibly deemed as racist? Because I don't understand this entire outfit, let alone, sir, I think you're fairly bald. I don't understand the full Manchu. I am I am a fan of comfy clothes, but he kind of looks like Kim Jong Un was his stylist. So I have a lot of questions here. Actor Steven Seagal and former UK politician George Galloway got close and personal with several types of wildlife earlier this month while embarking on a tour of Dubai's Fame Park, a private zoo. And the photos are wild. Yeah, he's blimped out. Look, as a person who is retaining her fair share of comfort foods and carbs, I don't want to do fluffy on fluffy crime. But if there's anything us fluffers know, us fluffy people, is that, if you buy a giant shirt, you don't actually look slimmer. You just look kind of fluffier. But, he's 71 and he is still valiantly hanging on to black, just for men's hair dye, possibly. What is going on with my internet? I hate my Mr. Mo. I meant fluffier, but it came out as fluffer. And yeah, I'm sure that's going to be clipped. So, there you go. I don't know if my internet is just decided it's going to be closed, but Seagal is 71 and Galloway is 69, and they were treated to a once in a lifetime experience by the zoo's owner, Dr. Saif Balasa. I'm a lard ass, but Steven Seagal is a land whale with a bad hairpiece, black shoe polish in his hair. Ooh. Look, that's a mental image I didn't need. But, oh, well, Farrell's still asleep. I've gotten away with it. I'm sure she'll troll and find it. And, if I had dignity, I wouldn't show up to places with, a mullet wig. Photos obtained by the Post, Seagal dressed in an all-black outfit. New York Post, that looks like Hillary Clinton's, one of her outfits. Played tug-of-war with a liger without any protective glass. Galloway, who was dressed in a white button-down shirt, matching blazer with black pants, was also snapped holding a massive serpent alongside Seagal and Balasa, 54. Look, y'all, here's the thing. Are they filming a new cop buddy duo, kind of kung fu meets European Basil kind of movie? Because, add a liger to anything and I'll watch it. So here's the liger he was playing with. Apparently kung fu. Mr. Seagal, you are allegedly rich. I don't know what for, but could you... This hairpiece matches nothing whatsoever. Oh, it's a baby liger or something or other. Other photos show the rather odd pair holding a majestic golden eagle, which violates the United States Bald and Golden Eagle Protection Act, enacted in 1940, and feeding a massive brown bear. Well, there you go. Next up, Steven Seagal is going to be locked up for petting an eagle. It didn't end there. The Under Siege actor's outing also included standing just mere feet away from an alligator, sitting down while holding a massive python, and hugging what appeared to be a sloth. Despite interacting with dangerous animals without protection. Look, y'all, I'm not saying anything, and as a fellow, somewhat fluffy American, look, he's got protection. I'm just saying. Like, if they hit him in the medular section, he's got at least 6 to 18 inches of space between him and his vital organs. Oh my gosh. Seagal has recently come under fire after speaking out about Russia's invasion of Ukraine. When are actors... What is this mantail over... Sir, I have seen better weaves in high school. I'm going to need you to go down to a woman to do a weave. You know what? She can do some crochet extensions. But whoever did this doesn't like you. Find people that like you and surround yourself with them. This is just, I don't even know. The actor's tie with Russia have extends back all the way to 2016 when he was granted citizenship and defended Russia's leadership for its annexation of Crimea in 2014. Well, then his involvement would go back to 2014. Seagal called Vladimir Putin 71, quote, one of the greatest living world. All right. Well, it's bad when you peaked with Under Siege, but there you go. He got to touch all sorts of wild animals. He's probably going to get arrested for touching a bald eagle. So there you go. Looks like, okay, sloth. Well, so I say sloth, but I've heard other people say sloth. It's like in England, I know they say zebra instead of zebra, which I find confusing. But, they also say Z instead of Z. So I don't know. There was a time in high school when I started doing that just to be different and affected. Look, I didn't have an emo phase, but I definitely had a phase where I was like, I'm just going to talk weird. How did he go from this to this? This to this? This is what happens when you don't hire him for the Expendables. You know that how at Red Lobsters you go to the tank and pick a live lobster. He's just picking his afternoon snacks. That shouldn't be funny. I shouldn't be laughing at that, but Mo did not have a goth phase. Look, I have tried eyeliner. I stink all at the high heaven about it. His DNA, look, I was going to say pudding, but maybe Jiffy peanut butter. And aging is a B. So apparently, in addition to stealing all of the Mandarin's outfits, he has decided to cozy up to Russia. So he is definitely getting charged with touching a bald eagle. My mom's already confused enough about why I have wigs and colored contacts. She is very confused, though she doesn't watch the channel, which is good because, good Lord, I already told her I don't have dignity on the internets. Good morning, Peace Peony. So there you go. Again, when Dog the Bounty Hunter has everything look, this is the Mondayest, most inappropriate Tuesday ever. So I think that this might just be my clip channel or my clip day. But honestly, when Dog the Bounty Hunter has aged better, no, he actually, so the transportation and removal of bald eagles is illegal, because of the American Bald Eagle Protection Act. We just did a story about a bunch of guys hunting a ton of bald eagles when they could have just wait for the air turbines from the wind mills, the wind energy people to just, blend them up. But this eagle should not be outside the United States. And since he seems to be an outspoken advocate for Russia, I'm seeing the Justice Department get a little testy with him. But, there were some choices made with this entire outfit. I think his baby is due, by the looks of it, next week. So we're good. And good morning, Aaron Olivia. So that's all that we're going to do about Steven Seagal. He touched a lot of animals. He's hugging a sloth. He's with a former English parliamentarian for I don't know what reasons. And the man in the thobe and that's the robe and the headdress, I think it's an eagle, but I want to look. I learned these a long time ago. But the man in traditional dress is the owner of this private zoo. So, oh, scroll back to the snake. Can do. Is that the Game of Thrones chair? If you're rich enough to have your own private zoo, do you think you could have used not prop, like backdrop for your Game of Thrones chair? Didn't you know what we need to find for our Discord watch? I think Steven Seagal had a cop reality show for a while. We must find that, dig it out of the ashes, that and the memory hold, but we must find that and have a watch party because oh my gosh. Well, so there you are. Steven Seagal got out of his house and someone did a terrible hair extension topper. He went from this to, well, he stole Hillary Clinton's outfits from the election. It's sad. But again, when Dog the Bounty Hunter has aged more gracefully than you, we need to have a talk. In other news, apparently this woman, the candy lady, has been accused of selling devil's lettuce infused candy to kids in the neighborhood. Now, every Halloween we get these posts where it's like, watch out for these people giving your kids their, stoner candy instead of, look, that S is expensive. I am not handing that out to your kids. Most normal people aren't. This woman seemed to have a business for it, but I'm telling y'all, no one is giving your kid their stash. Or at least, let me walk that back. No normal person is giving your kids their stash. Well, she just didn't have this idea yet. Oh, and it's Florida, so let's get it done cuz we know we're going to have to, but Florida whoa man, because of course the Florida Department of Law Enforcement arrested a Tampa woman after she was allegedly selling infused candies to kids in the neighborhood, a press release said. Agents received a tip from a confidential source in mid October that 32-year-old Renee Steffens was selling fentanyl outside of her Tampa apartment. Undercover officers then conducted a controlled buy of 6 grams of fentanyl, then bought 14 grams a couple weeks later, according to a probable cause affidavit reviewed by Law and Crime. During a third buy in mid-November, Steffens allegedly sold the undercover agents 28 grams of fentanyl in the parking lot of her apartment complex. When the agents asked if she had 10 more grams, she walked back into her apartment and came out with additional. Look, if people are being real nice to you, look, it's a tarp. Admiral Akbar is going to tell you this is a tarp. The FDLE press release said agents raided the home on December 11th where they found 153 grams of fentanyl, 100 fentanyl pills, and the devil's lettuce. Agents also collected and seized 63 individually packaged snacks resembling children's candy and snacks that were infused with the THC that she reportedly sold to children. Miss Kravitz, the local, neighborhood watch lady, was like, I done knowed it. I knowed it. Yeah, fentanyl, dear Lord. Quote, the drug-infused candy this suspect was reportedly selling to children is every parent's worst nightmares. FDLE Tampa Special Agent in charge, Mark Bruntel, said in a statement, Steffens also allegedly made a drug deal when she was holding her baby. JKD Bug. A coworker of mine tried to sell 100 pounds of weed to an undercover police in our parking lot. He had a large van and 700 pounds. Oh, I mean, You would never need to buy it again. I mean, we really need to think about bulk buying. I know she didn't even have puppy on like her white van. It's quote, it's unconscionable that a mother would have this poison near her baby and try to sell it to others. Okay, I understand where you're going with this, but I think, lecturing her on morals is probably kind of out the window right now. I'm sure she's probably in the depths of addiction herself, and it's going to fall on deaf ears. Hopefully, this is her rock bottom and she can, come back and get redemption and her child will not be thrown into the system. Stevens is facing charges of trafficking in the F and fentanyl, conspiracy to traffic fentanyl, and unlawful use of a two-way communication device. She was using a walkie-talkie and or cans with string attached, as you do. She was allegedly conspiring with her husband, Vincent Stevens, who is currently in prison on drug-related charges. He would, quote, facilitate, end quote, the drug deals and was also charged with conspiracy to traffic fentanyl and unlawful use of a two-way communication device, FDLE said. Renee Steffens is at Hillsborough County Jail on a $92,000 bond. Again, I love how the media every Halloween is like, people are going to give out their weed candy. No, ma'am. That stuff is expensive. Not that I know from personal experience or nothing, but I mean, that crap is expensive if you've ever somewhat, gambled through a store that sells that stuff. Look, you are no normal person is giving away that stuff. Well, oh no, she's not hit rock bottom if she's selling the F. She's still got room. Well, I know, but for her child, I hope that, look, addiction is no joke. It really is serious and it is near the holidays. I feel worse about the child because the child is going to get thrown into the system if they can't find a family member to watch this baby as both parents are in jail. And I know those Samoyas. Those now I will tell you Aldi's has a fake version that I get, but oh my gosh, that stuff should be unlegal. And they always try to sell it right before Lent. Yes, I was late and questioning, but I had an excuse. Farrell, there are so many clippable moments in the beginning of this because I was all Twitter pated since I was running late. But good morning, Farrell. And you missed Steven Seagal, so there you go. Well, no, I was late too. So it was I a cap came loose last night and I had to go to 3 different stores to find the glue because I know my dentist, who is lovely, will not be able to get me in before the holidays are over, which I completely understand. But also, to any dental hygienist out there, y'all are heroes because I don't know how you deal with gross mouth stuff. Oh my gosh. Ooh. Watching it all the time and that drilling noise. Look, I am on all the tangents today. But the kids have a half day. I have promised to do cookie making and yeah, we are just I will have Mr. Mo set up my fireplace arrangement. Help me with it because that will be awesome. I'm going to just relax by the fire tonight when I do my nightly newsy news. Or maybe if I have an afternoon stream, that's what I. This is why I love y'all. Yes, it is so, for I have said so. Monday is Tuesday ever, which means just surrender to it. Look, everything is going to take 900 times longer. No, I have a wood burning fireplace. I had to marry the guy, though, for it. No, I convinced Mr. Mo we needed a wood. Look, Mo went deep into the off the grid stuff during the thing that we are not allowed to mention that came from a place that we're not allowed to mention. So I may be the only person outside of the Amish community that has a treadle sewing machine, which I will show you guys, but it is downstairs and it is like 900 pounds. It needs to be moved upstairs. And I have, well, two things can be true in the entire. Look, Kevin Spacey is gross, and he's gotten away with so much, and I used to like him, and then I found out how gross he was. And when I used to like you and then you have betrayed me by being a gross human being, I feel personally offended even though I don't know you. So, yes. K-Pax was one of my favorite movies, and then Kevin Spacey turned out to be a dingle hopper. So long story short, or tangent qualified, I told Mr. Mo I would really, really like a wood burning fireplace or a pellet furnace because I thought that the grid was going to go down and we are not taking steps to update our grid like we should. And should anything happen, I would like to not freeze to death. So we ended up getting a wood burning fireplace, which is awesome and probably is my favorite place in the house, but it is in the front living room where no one can be quiet, so I generally don't film out there. And good morning, hey Joe. I would think about it. Well, that's the other thing is we live fairly rural, and when we do have, the occasional ice storm or, snowstorm, the power can go out. And while we do have a generator, it is state of the art 1971, and I don't know there's ever been used past that, initial 1971 fire up. And it's romantic. Look, Mr. Mo and I don't get to go out on dates very often, but we can sit in front of the fire and pretend that we like each other. And then Fry can sit right between us. And look, I'm not trying to warn you guys of anything, but Fry is sleeping on his dog bed like a regular dog, so these might be the signs of an end time. I have found that he'll sleep on his bed if I let him have one of my unicornios. So he has stolen that particular stuffed unicorn, and as long as it's next to his bed, he will sleep on it. In a sad but oh my goodness, we needed a good story. Brutus is gone, but pet owner says, quote, my heart feels fulfilled after a campaign gave him a loving send-off. So look, if your eyes, water up a little bit, it's okay. It's the wood burning fire. You're not crying. I'm not crying, all right? Kelly Yankee, look, y'all, I don't even know. Good morning, Jessica B. Says he gave his dog Brutus the best send-off he could by getting as many people to pet him as possible until Saturday morning when the 5-year-old dog's health declined and he had to be sent over the Rainbow Bridge. Quote, he'd spin in circles and that's how you'd know if he wanted to go outside, Kelly said. So, coming out in the morning today was a little rough. Brutus was a terminally ill Rottweiler in Regina and became a local sensation for a campaign that Kelly started to get him 1,000 pets from people before he passed away. The two of them were stationed at Pet Value in Southland Mall, where the passerbys could give Brutus a pet. Quote, I love my animals more than anything, and this was the best thing I could think of from the bottom of my heart to do for my dog. It just turned out fantastic, Kelly said. Oh, look at the good boy, though. He's such a good boy. Brutus and owner Kelly, so that's both of them, Kelly said he and his family are doing okay now, but still processing letting Brutus go over the Rainbow Bridge. And he felt that the final gestures of love made it feel like he wasn't going through it all alone. Quote, it was almost like sharing the grief with everybody, just being able to do that. Like, it's hard, but my heart feels fulfilled, he said. With everything going on in this world, you kind of lose faith in humanity a bit. Kelly said. This really brought out the wholesomeness and genuine people. About 2 weeks ago, Kelly took Brutus to the vet with a swollen neck, and it turned out to be cancer, and cancer sucks, in his lymph nodes, and he was given about 3 weeks before he would pass away. Kelly said Saturday he hoped to have Brutus for one more day, but he changed his mind when he noticed Brutus was breathing faster than usual and seemed worse off. He said he only spent about 20 minutes at Pet Value on Saturday morning. Shortly after, they went to the vet, and they let Brutus go over the Rainbow Bridge. But on the plus side, he estimated the dog got about 700 pets from strangers throughout the many visits to Pet Value. Look, I'm not crying. Y'all are not crying. It's smoke from the wood burning stove that happens to be on the other side of the house. Left him with, quote, no words to say but thank you. I didn't expect it to blow up the way it did, but I thought it was awesome, he said. He said donations people made helped cover some of the expenses. Now a framed photo of Brutus sits atop a shelf in Kelly's home. So this good boy got all the pets. And, people, as much crud as I have to report on, and I try to pick out, better stories and fun stories, but, covering what I do, covering the trials I do, seeing that people were willing to come up and, I mean, Brutus is a big dog, but let me see if I can pull up the picture. It says, my name is Brutus. I'm 5 years old, and I just found out I have cancer and a short time left. My dad loves me so much and brought me so much joy as I did for him. Dad wants the whole world to know what a beauty I am. Thanks for the pets. I love you all. So he just sat out in front of, the thing. I know. I'm over here like, girl hormones. Stop it. For the love of goodness. But I'm glad that this is such a cool way to honor his pet. And what a better way to make, doggos feel good than getting, pets from everyone, especially a dog that may look scary to others. Maybe he helped a bunch of people get over their fear of Rottweilers because he was such a good boy. So it's a sad, but it's a feel-good story. And I'm so sorry for your loss. I wasn't really a big pet person, but Fry and I have clicked. So I completely understand. I would be leaking my eyes out if it was Fry. So, but what a cool way for the owner to honor his, bestest friend, and his bestest friend to get all the love before he had to pass over. In other more fun news, and because I have Sailor Uranus right back there, or Uranus as it's pronounced, because my husband is an ass. But NASA releases new images of Uranus, offering a glimpse of one rarely seen feature. Oh, hey, Joe, I had a Lab Shar-Pei mix that was passing away the day before her appointment with the vet to help her cross the bridge. She passed. I was laying on look, they as Futurama foretold, it will be one day named Eurectum, because everyone made fun of Uranus. I'm just waiting for the name change. Stunning new images released by NASA on Monday detailed new images of Uranus, revealing a stunning look at its glowing rings and one rarely seen feature. The photos taken by NASA's high-powered James Webb Telescope. And y'all, oh my gosh. Hey, Futurama predicted it. I'm just saying Matt Groening, I think, or Granning, made well, everyone's seen enough of Jody's, so this is just the planet. I rarely see mine, but I'm not that flexible. Jody is, so I'm sure she sees her a lot. Allegedly, don't come at me, Jody, all right? It's already been the Monday is Tuesday ever. The also totally another gift that I got myself from Mr. Mo. So this nerd website that has all of these cool teacher outfits, they have a t-shirt or a shirt that's a button down that has the James Webb giant first release picture of the oldest part of the universe. So of course I bought that because I am a giant nerd. And if I could get uh captured the icy planet along with its multiple inner and outer rings, 9 of its 27 known moons, and its seasonal polar cap. And I do believe that Uranus is the only planet that rotates completely on its side. So it doesn't have a tilt, an axial tilt as such as we do with like 23 degrees. No, it's just, rolling this way for some reason. We don't know. New pictures offer a rare glimpse of the Zeta ring, which is extremely faint, and a diffuse ring closest to the planet, shown in a reddish brown color. Multiple other rings were captured in a blue glowing color. The high powered Webb telescope also grabbed screenshots of an atmospheric happening at on the freezing planet, including Uranus's seasonal northern polar cap and several storms near it. Interesting. The polar cap becomes more pronounced when it shifts towards the sun. Duh. But there you go. Uranus has the most extreme seasons in the solar system because it spins on its side with a tilt of about 98 degrees. So while the sun shines over one pole, the other pole is plunged into darkness in a 21-year-long winter. And the funny thing about this is these aren't the colors that are actually picked up by James Webb telescope. NASA actually has to go back in because most of it is using X-rays or very low frequency red waves. Look, I may geek out about the James Webb telescope. But yes, good morning, Spirit Matter and Mimsy. So it's just really cool to see pictures of this because generally we have not seen, we never landed on the moon. No, I'm just kidding. Good morning, Crime Spies. I drink cold caffeine, so I have no idea. At this point, I'd be willing to listen to you about that with all the news that has gone on lately. NASA also said the planet and new images of it will help scientists study nearly 2,000 similarly sized exoplanets discovered in the last few decades. This is an exoplanet in our backyard. Astronomers can help understand how planets this size work, their meteorology, and how they're formed. So this can help us understand our own solar system as a whole by placing it in a larger context. Winter is coming. NASA colors pictures to manipulate you into thinking your taxes are paying for projects that may or may not be real. That's a little more Dale Gribble than I was gonna go today, but look, if they slap this on a t-shirt, I would wear it. That's the problem, because I'm a nerd. A giant one. All right, in weirdness and taking, being friends with your ex a little too far, in my opinion, Ruben Gallego, I'm going to go with Gallego, is endorsed by Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego, his ex-wife, in a bid for Arizona Senate seat. This is a little bit too much, niceness. Like, I can understand being friends with your ex, but I don't think I'd nominate my ex or endorse my ex for any sort of political, aspirations, but there you go. Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego on Monday endorsed her ex-husband, U.S. Representative Ruben Gallego, in his campaign to move up to the Senate. The mayor's decision to publicly back her former husband, while not surprising, will help him blunt criticism for their divorce, which occurred weeks before the birth of their child. Well, there you go. Gallego is is the only major Democrat in the race that will help determine control of the U.S. Senate. Incumbent Senator Kristen Sinema, a former Democrat who went independent, I believe, has not said whether she will seek a second term as an independent. Ruben and Kate Gallego are both Democrats who met as undergraduates at Harvard University. Well, that explains a whole hell of a lot. Kate, a New Mexico native, moved to Phoenix for a job on John Kerry's 2004 presidential campaign in Arizona. Ruben, originally from Chicago, joined her after finishing a deployment to Iraq as a U.S. Marine. They were a power couple in local Democrat politics. A popular Phoenix bar even had a cocktail named the Ruben and Kate. After their divorce, the menu was changed, and each Gallego was given their own cocktail, the Ruben and the Kate. Yeah, I am not sure. Carrie Lake, the likely Republican nominee in the race, has repeatedly attacked Ruben Gallego over the timing of his breakup. Arizona women at Ruben Gallego abandoned his wife when she was 9 months pregnant with his first child, she wrote on X. In response, so yeah, they do share custody of their 6-year-old son, who routinely accompanies one or both of his parents to campaign stops and official events. Look, don't trot your kids out. Look, if I was running for president, which I unofficially am, I don't bring my kids to any of my press events. But that's just me. Also, it's just weird. Look, there's liking your ex, and do you see this fake smile? That is the fakest smile I've ever seen. That is like, I will allegedly not stabulate you in the back. Allegedly. I mean, that is the smile you give when you're in the shopping center and your kid is throwing a fit and another kind mom comes up and says, "Are you okay?" And you're like, "We are fine." And you're like, "Get in the car or it is gonna be on." Mo for president. And then it happens. In sadder news, 5 teens are now charged in the savage mob beating at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. So this is the high school that is probably still reeling. I mean, there are probably still kids affected from the, school thing with, you know, the school shooting. So you already have that trauma, and then you have these kids. I'm not going to show it because YouTube is a bit weird about, you know, not authoritative news places showing violence. Now, New York Post can do it, the CNN can do it, MSNBC can do it. But if Mo does it, I can get, some issues happening when I get further monetized. So I'm trying to remember that as I'm doing this. 5 Florida teenagers have been charged in the vicious, caught on camera mob beating of a student at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. The site of, we know what it's the site of. The 5th teen linked to the beating on December 12th turned himself in at the Coral Springs Police Department on Monday morning, with cops still looking for one more suspect. WPLG TV News reported. The disturbing video, and I have seen this video, and I know that these gentlemen are trying to help this young man who looks like he was pile drived into the concrete, but they're also moving someone that may have a severe spinal injury. So my mama's heart is very happy that these gentlemen are going in to help their friend or this other person, but my medical part of me is like, oh my God, don't move him. Do not move him if you think he has a severe spinal or any sort of fracture. The disturbing video was first posted by TMZ, shows a lone teenager who has not been identified being attacked by over a dozen students who kick and punch him repeatedly until one person hurls him onto the pavement head first. It is terrifying to watch if you understand how drastically hazardous this can be for your head, your spine. So he suffered a skull fracture and other injuries. Officials at Parkland School identified the alleged attackers, and police obtained arrest affidavits on Thursday. Quote, "The safety of our community and schools remains our top priority," the department said in a press release. On a daily basis, we have approximately 50 officers from multiple specialized units who are assigned to patrol areas around schools during dismissal. In this incident, we did have 2 patrol officers around North Community Park at the time of dismissal. So here are the people that they have in custody right now. I'm not going to say their names because they're all underage, and I want to make sure. Look, while it might have been caught on tape, these gentlemen, while in custody, still have the presumption of innocence. And I am trying my best to wait until trials, but I do hope that they are charged accordingly to how devastating and lifelong these potential injuries could be. That's my hope. I hope that it isn't a slap on the wrist. 4 are students at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, and the 5th is a student at Coral Glades High School. Each of the teens was charged with felony battery, according to cops. So, in an email to parents last week, the school principal, Michelle Kefford, says she hopes to expel them. Quote, "We are doing everything we can through district process to ensure these students do not return to our campus," she wrote to it, or in an email, according to WPLG. They'll probably take a plea deal, but again, and just for anyone, if you see anything like this go down and you see someone who's obviously been who could have spinal issues, try your best not to move them. If you can stabilize their C-spine while doing that. And I understand that these kids were trying to help their friend, but I do worry that they're kind of flopping him around and not putting him. We need to teach basic first aid to our kids. You know, I have talked about this with my girls, maybe because I have, a little bit of a medical background, but it's, yeah, I am getting tired of, look, we are having a pervasive culture of young men in our country, regardless of creed or color, that are directionless, that don't seem to have goals. And it's the same thing with elephants. If you put a bunch of young male elephants, they've had this in, reserves where they've had to cull entire young male herds, because they don't have an older bull elephant kind of keeping them in line. We are failing our young men. And like I always say, I wish there were easy answers to hard questions, but I think we really need to sit down and look at what, as a culture, we are glorifying and, promoting. And look, y'all, if I was president, I would make everyone serve at least 2 years in a service of some kind. You don't have to go to the military, but there are plenty of, well, yeah. I mean, look, things are never one issue or the other. They're always multifactorial. And unfortunately, our politicians want to get a sound bite. You don't want to actually talk about answers, because if you actually have answers to problems, then you are no longer needed. So why fix a problem? Why not create more? But you definitely, look, I can't control every kiddo here in Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, but I can control my kids. I can control my boys, and I can try to give them and instill in them a purpose, using their strength as a shield and not a weapon, making smart choices. And if every parent took that responsibility seriously, maybe we wouldn't have this issue. But that being said, we could also bring back stockades. Well, I attempt to. I do. So I do believe, yes, Israel and South Korea. And it wouldn't be so much a military, but there are service projects. There are older people that need meals brought to them. You would go through testing. Obviously, you'd need a personality to deal with older people or children. But it definitely seems like we have a lot of lost boys. And I wish that we would do something a little more to help them. Like I said, I don't have easy answers to tough questions. It would require difficult conversations and sitting down and, having some uncomfortable talks. And people don't want to do that. They just want to assume that you're either an ist or a phobe, or you have something, deeply wrong with you when you're trying to say something. And it happens on both sides. People assume the motives and character of other people instead of listening to their ideas with an open mind. Some people go in without good faith. So that's another thing. In other news of someone going somewhere without good faith, and possibly the most heartwarming story you will ever see, Alec Baldwin got yelled at by protesters. Look, it's a Steven Seagal, Alec Baldwin craziness. Yeah. Slinky, I also don't think there's a healthy way for boys to get rid of the aggression these days that is considered socially acceptable. Yeah, we've gone from the boys will be boys, which wasn't maybe the best, mental mindset, to boys are terrible and must be girls. Act and behave as girls. So you're taking this natural kind of aggression, this testosterone overload, and you're telling them to just talk about their feelings and this kind of thing. And that's not going to, biology will not look, as Jeff Goldblum said, as Ian, arguably the best but most insufferable character in all the Jurassic Park movies. Life will find a way. But moving on to Alec Baldwin. Alec Baldwin apparently decided to run his mouth on an anti Israel protester who mocked his tanking career. Oh, they got mean and personal. That's not fair. Don't make fun of Alec Baldwin. I like Dr. Malcolm. I will say in the final one, though, he was my favorite character, mostly because he pushed 1984. Because what code would a conspiracy theorist pick when trying to guess a digital code for, secret, not Steve Jobs, Dobson, his secret Dino base? Alec Baldwin was berated by anti-Israeli protesters on Monday evening after hundreds of agitators flooded into Penn Station and Grand Central Station during a fiery but peaceful, no, I'm just kidding, fiery demonstration where they told Israel to go to hell. these people, they spread joy and love around everywhere. I don't understand why they always get a bad rap. The irate 30 Rock star jawed out the protesters who told him he has, quote, no effing shame, and belittled his tanking career while hundreds descended on the major Big Apple transit hubs during a protest. Now, generally, I don't get into the Mesopotamia, but anything that makes fun of Alec Baldwin, I'm kind of there for. So Baldwin was walking near the demonstration on West 29th Street when protesters spotted him and darted towards him, accusing him of supporting Israel. I mean, I don't know how he did that. I've not seen him run his mouth, but I don't have him on my Twitter, so because look, I don't need that in my life. NYPD officers needed to escort the actor. Baldwin had no problem shouting back at them, but was quickly met with the ire of protesters. Shut your effing mouth, you have no effing shame, one man yelled back at Baldwin. He was asked if he condemned Israel for, who, again, why do we care what adult pretenders think? Has Alec Baldwin shaped any policy that I remember? I mean, he did sleep with Kim Basinger when she was the hottest chick in Hollywood, but then he also proceeded to cheat on her when she was the hottest chick in Hollywood. So I'm going to need someone to explain to me why we have, again, why we ask actors or adult pretenders anything. I think Ricky Gervais said it best when he was basically, and I'll paraphrase it, you all haven't completed the 4th grade. No one cares to hear what you think. Thank your God, get your award, and sit the hell down. Ricky Gervais for president, I mean, to be honest. So someone yelled about his career, and he was apparently on his way to volunteer to teach at an acting class. Well, there you go. So anyway, apparently they made fun of Alec Baldwin, which is probably the only socially advantageous thing these protests have done recently. So I support you in your harassment, allegedly, of Alec Baldwin, since it was only talking to him. And in our last story, in a true show of how people in cities do not understand how anything in rural life actually works, we get this. Colorado releases the first 5 wolves in a reintroduction plan approved by voters to the chagrin of ranchers. Now, I think if we actually sat down and again had some of those uncomfortable conversations, I think that we could find a way to reduce native apex predator species like wolves to Colorado while giving ranchers, who will be on the front lines of having to deal with these animals, seeing a bunch of, hamburgers, on hoof in a field as easy prey. But, you have people in the city who don't have to deal with the effects. When are we going to get an electoral college for the state? Honest to goodness, I've heard about it from, I think the first person I heard who said something about it was Razorfist. But the more he talks, the more I think we need an electoral college sort of thing for the states, because you have these cities, these very urban cities that make choices for the rest of the state that is mostly rural, and they don't fit. What works in the city will not work in rural areas for the most part. And, even Bernie Sanders, who I disagree with most of the time, has said that, like the force multiplier question is generally a fight between rural communities and urban dwelling communities. And they don't have the same sort of values. They don't have the same sort of things that are issues. But if you make blanket rulings from an urban area that affect rural areas, you are going to have issues. So, somewhere on a remote mountainside in the Colorado Rockies, a latch flipped on a crate and a wolf bounded out heading toward the tree line, but then it stopped short. For a moment, the young female looked back at its audience of roughly 45 people who started on or stared on in reverential silence. Okay, were they all wearing the airbrushed, wolf howling at the moon kind of acid wash t-shirt? Because I think that would be the only thing appropriate for this. She was one of 5 gray wolves that wildlife officials released in a remote part of the Colorado Rocky Mountains on Monday to kick off a voter-approved reintroduction program that was embraced in the state's mostly Democratic urban corridor, but staunchly opposed by conservative rural areas and ranchers who worry about attack on their livestock. Again, I am sure there has to be a smarter way to do this if we would sit down, but no, this is going to be dumb. These wolves are going to go after easy prey, which is, a bunch of hamburgers on hoofs in, a field. And when the ranchers, have to take care of business, they're going to be the ones that are going to get in trouble for having to unalive these things. The wolves were set free from crates in Grand County location the state's officials kept undisclosed to protect the predators. It marked the start of the most ambitious wolf reintroduction effort in the U.S. in almost 3 decades, and a sharp departure from aggressive efforts by Republican-led states to cull wolf packs. A judge on Friday night denied a request from the state's cattle industry for a temporary delay to the release. The group watched as the first 2 wolves, a 1-year-old male and female siblings with gray fur, were set free. The male bolted up the golden grass, running partially sideways to keep an eye on everyone behind, then turning. Why would you let go siblings? Okay. So wolves, quote, have larger than life places in human imaginations in the stories we all grew up with and tell each other, said Polis. To see them in their natural habitat and turn around and look curiously at us is a really special moment that I will treasure my entire life. Well, I'm glad you sent them off into a very dangerous world where they're going to get shot. The other 3 wolves released were another pair of 1-year-old male and female siblings, as well as a 2-year-old male. Okay, y'all, make this make sense. We're going to bring out the whiteboard of truth because I am trying to make sense of this inbreeding here. But what the hell are we doing here? I have to use the scrunchie of wiping. So we have, if I'm reading this correctly, we have brother and sister pair, and then another brother and sister pair, and then a baby. So now we are hoping that this happens, the breeding happens this way, but I could see it happening this way. Am I the only one that was noticing this? I mean, for biodiversity, you guys are sucking all the donkey appendages because you have basically, so parent, and then you've got brother and sister who will share, certain gene combinations, and you've got the same thing here, and you're just hoping that they don't inbreed and they stay together as a pack. But were they raised as a pack? I mean, none of this seems to be smart. Seems like it was thought out in any way. I mean, I'm not a geneticologist, but this seems like a terrible idea. I could be wrong, but brother sister pairings seem to be a terrible idea. I'm only they can inbreed. Well, that's wonderful. So we won't have smart wolves. We'll have wolves with flippers. I actually have makeup on, which is sad. I just don't have my lights on. But I do have to wear just a little bit of makeup because otherwise I am clear see-through. And this is me even with darker makeup a little bit to make it look like I'm not pale. But I didn't have time to put on my I'll have to see. Apparently brother sister mating's good. Who knew? But there you go. So hopefully they can find an alpha. Colorado officials anticipate releasing 30 to 50 wolves within the next 5 years in hopes that the program starts to fill in one of the last remaining major gaps in the U.S. or in the western U.S. for the species. Gray wolves historically ranged from northern Canada to the desert in the southwest. Carnivores The carnivores' planned release in Colorado, voted for in a 2020 ballot measure, has sharpened divides between rural and suburban residents. City and suburban dwellers largely voted to reintroduce the apex predators into rural areas where the prey can include livestock and help drive local economies and big game such as elk that are prized by hunters. The reintroduction started with the release of up to 10 wolves in coming months and emerged as a political wedge issue when the GOP dominated Wyoming, Idaho, and Montana refused to share their wolves for the effort. Those are my wolves. Colorado officials ultimately turned to another Democratic state, Oregon, to secure the wolves. Excited wildlife advocates have started a wolf naming contest. Okie dokie. Oh, I did not know about that. So you can add donkeys to livestock herds to help them with predators. I know it will keep away coyotes. I'm not sure of the effectiveness on wolves. Well, here's the thing. You are either going to have ranchers that will buy the big kind of Great Pyrenees dogs that will get into, again, this is, if I were look, I am semi-rural. I don't have a farm. I don't have a bunch of animals. I don't know what ranching involves other than I think I have watched like 5 minutes of Yellowstone. I just can't get into it, or whatever it is with Kevin Costner. Look, I'm still traumatized by seeing his butt in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. So, seriously, Kevin Costner, I have not seen Yellowstone. But again, you can't, you are just deepening the divide when you don't listen to people that are living on the front lines, their lives experience. I mean, this is the same thing that's happening with the border states sending, immigrants up north. It's the same thing. Again, you guys, you cannot vote your conscience in a place where you shouldn't be able to vote for things that will affect other people that you are completely distanced from. Let's see here, too. But ranchers in the Rocky Mountains where the release will occur are anxious. They've seen glimpses of what the future could hold as a handful of wolves that wandered down from Wyoming over the past 2 years killed livestock. The fear is such attacks will worsen, adding a spate of perceived assaults on western Colorado's rural communities as the state's liberal leaders embrace clean energy and tourism, eclipsing economic mainstays such as fossil fuels, extraction, and agriculture. To allay livestock industry fears, ranchers who lose livestock or herding animals to wolves' attacks will be paid fair market value up to $15,000 per animal. Hunting groups have raised concerns that wolves will reduce the size of elk herds and other big game animals that the predators eat. Meanwhile, Colorado residents who have backed the reintroductions are going to have to get used to agents unaliving wolves that prey on livestock. Some wolves were already unalived when they crossed from Colorado into Wyoming, which has a predatory zone for wolves covering most of the state, in which they cannot be shot on sight. Joanna Lambert, a professor of wildlife ecology and conservation biology at the University of Colorado at Boulder, said she lost her breath when she saw the wolves gallop into the wood on Monday. Okay, it is a beautiful thing to reintroduce these apex predators, but you are going to be back at, the University of Colorado at Boulder next week and the week after and the months after when, these wolves are doing livestock damage, when these ranchers are having to deal with the fact that they've lost animals or lost, service dogs. I mean, everyone likes doggos. These wolves will attack guard dogs, herding dogs, and you guys will be very sad when they are unalived because they were doing these things. For years, Lambert and wolf advocates have been working to get wolves' paws on the ground, and all of a sudden it happened. This is a moment of rewilding, Lambert said, doing something to stave off the biodiversity extinction crisis we're living in. Well, then, ma'am, we will be releasing these wolves into the city of Boulder for the biodiversity that is lacking in that concrete jungle. If it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. I'm sure you wouldn't be too upset if we released, a pack of hyenas, for biodiversity purposes in Boulder, allegedly. But I love how people make decisions for other people that aren't going to be working on the front line. This is the dumbest thing I've heard of. I like animals. I would love it if we could have, a place where wolves could, run free along the fields and have no consequences, but things have consequences. And you guys who voted for this will not have to deal with any of the consequences. And that's what ticks me off. It's that kind of thinking. I am just about done with it. But that is the newsy news for this morning. The most Mondayest Tuesday of the year. Hopefully the last Mondayest Tuesday of the year. The 19th of December. Now, my general advice, which everyone is free to ignore, is that if you realize you are in the grips of a Mondayest day, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever day it may happen to be, just surrender. Everything is going to take 3 times as long. Just surrender to the absolute mundaneness of it and try to smile. But that is my advice. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Don't forget that Baker is doing, I think, the live broadcast of Ruby Frankie's plea deal. So I hope that she does get time in prison. I hope that this is her rock bottom. I hope she never is allowed to YouTube again and make other mothers feel bad about themselves. And really, really from the bottom of my heart, which is somewhat blackened and a little bit, jaded, I hope she humbles herself and asks her children for genuine forgiveness and then works on earning that. I hope this is her rock bottom. I hope she has lost some of the sanctimonious and, holier than thou attitude that she has had in the past and I've seen on those videos. And I hope that she really, really, this was a wake-up call and, she really works to make it up to her kids. And I don't know how long that's going to take, and I don't know if they'll ever forgive her, but she definitely, even Kevin Spacey could have a redemption arc. I just don't foresee it. So, with all that being said, have a lovely Tuesday. Say something kind to yourself, which may always be the hardest thing. And try to say something kind to everyone you see today. Look, you never know if this might be the only kind thing that this person will hear on the day or what they're dealing with. So, complimenting someone's shoes, someone's hair, you know, it can go a long way. It can make people feel good. You can see their face light up when you do it. And it's an easy way for us introverts to try to get our peopling skills a bit sharpened up. So I will see you this evening. Have a lovely day. Don't forget to go check out Baker and everyone else. And I will see you in a little bit. Bye, guys.